My presentation is over the Dominican Republic biomes. I'm Grace Newcomb. My first biome is the coral reef biome. The coastline of the Dominican Republic is approximately 1,288 kilometers. The reef is approximately 786,300 hectares. Here is a map of the Dominican Republic reefs. You can see it goes all around the edge of the Dominican Republic, and there are a variation of the types of reefs. Here's pictures of what kind of corals you can find in the reef. So the abiotic factors of the coral reef include temperature. Temperature is very important for coral reefs because they won't survive in colder oceans. So the annual temperatures in Dominican Republic waters range from 24 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius. Other abiotic factors are sunlight, salt water, oxygen, sand, and rocks. Sunlight is also very important because the aquatic plants need sunlight to grow, obviously, and sunlight heats the water as well. The biotic factors of the coral reef biome include coral polyps, fish, aquatic plants, and decomposers. Coral polyps are important because they are what starts the coral reef. They form on rocks, and then the coral reef just continues to grow. Some fish that you can find in these coral reefs are banded butterfly fish, Caribbean sharp-nosed fish, spotted trunkfish, and French grunts. These fish are endemic to the Dominican Republic, so you can only find them in these coral reefs. Some ways that these fish have adapted to live in these coral reefs, most of them travel in schools, which gives them an advantage when living. They aren't easily eaten by predators that way, and they can also blend in better with camouflage. Many of them will also hide in rocks, or just live in rocks or in the corals. Baby fish will also hide in corals and rocks serve as a nursery. Some aquatic plants include seagrasses and algae. Decomposers include fanworms, sea cucumbers, snails, crabs, bristleworms, and bacteria. Some more information on this biome, biodiversity. The coral reefs of the Dominican Republic include 22 taxonomic classes, 208 families, 525 genera, and 742 species. The biggest threats to coral reef biomes is coastal development, pollution, overfishing, and introduction of invasive species. The solutions to these threats include the Southeast Marine Sanctuary, Grupo Punta Cana Foundation. The Southeast Marine Sanctuary is it's basically a protected area, and it's co-managed by a diverse group of stakeholders like the federal government, local fishermen, and environmental groups. It covers a vast amount of coral reefs, and it has been very successful. The Grupo Punta Cana Foundation is just a local group that teaches about the importance of the coral reef, and it's a nonprofit organization. And there are a lot of other nonprofit organizations as well that help fight against these threats to the coral reef. Some endangered species. This is the Nassau grouper, and then there's its taxonomic name, but I'm not going to try to pronounce that, and it looks like that. And then I could not find an aquatic plant for the coral reefs, so I picked a coral, and it's the boulder star coral. My next biome is the mangrove forest biome. So here's what mangrove forests look like. You can see as the roots are growing down into the water, and it has a very complex root system, and there's a bird that lives there. And then here's a map of the mangrove forest in the Dominican Republic. You can see it's a large amount area that it covers, and that is approximately 3,700 63 square miles. The abiotic factors of the mangrove forest biome include sunlight, the daily average is 10 hours, temperature, the annual average is 77 degrees, air, low amount of wave energies to allow fine sediments to accumulate for the roots to grow in, salinity in freshwater. The mangroves can grow in both because of their complex salt filtration and root system. The biotic factors include mangroves, so there are red mangroves, white buttonwoods, white mangroves, and palm trees. I meant to put plants right there. So because once the mangroves stabilize the coastline, so it builds on to the coastline, and as further the mangroves grow, other plants can start growing in between them, and it creates a further coastline. Some animals that will live in the mangrove forest include birds, lizards, frogs, mangrove crabs, and the sea snake. And of course there are fish and the soil. So they grow in organic matter, sand, and clay. So some ways that these biotic factors have adapted. Fish use the root systems as a nursery, and they can hide in them. And birds also hide in the mangroves from predators above. So more information on the mangrove forest biome, the biodiversity. The specific number of species that inhabit the mangrove forests of the Dominican Republic have not yet been gathered. However, it is believed that few species do. The biodiversity is exceptionally low. The biggest threats to these biomes include development of tourism industry, agriculture expansion, and pollution. The solutions include ecotourism, ecology organization, and charities. So ecotourism is organizations will have tourist activities such as a walk through the mangrove forest that doesn't really affect it in a harming way, but allows people to see the importance of this biome. And all of the money gathered from these tourist industries go into charities to help the environment. And there's also you can kayak along the coastline and see the mangrove forest. And one organization that's developing that is Ecology. And then the endangered species of the mangrove forest include the Buteo ridgeway, the ridgeway hawk, and then the Carbonera negra. So that's what that looks like. The last biome is the tropical rainforest biome. The tropical rainforest biome covers approximately 18,704 square miles, so it's in the entire island. Here is a picture of how the forest will look. There's a monkey, and that's more like a dense forest than that. The abiotic factors of the tropical rainforest include temperature. The average high-low is 75 to 90 degrees, and that is year-round. And the rainfall average is 82 inches annually. The sunlight daily average is 10 hours, and humidity, air, and dirt. The biotic factors include plants, poinciana, royal palms, mangroves. Animals include frogs, snakes, lizards, toucans, parrots, monkeys, and sloths. Some insects are moths, leafcutter ants, grasshoppers, and decomposers. Include fungi, earthworms, bacteria, termites, lichens, and ants. So, some ways that these biotic factors have adapted to the abiotic factors include camouflage, so many animals will blend into their environment to survive better against like predators and dying. So for example, like a boa constrictor or other snakes, you could be around them but you don't even know it because their camouflage is so good. Animals will also have limited diets, so they have less competition with other animals. So for example, toucans will get harder to reach fruits with their long beak because they won't have competition against other birds for those fruits. Monkeys have adapted to live in the higher canopies, like with their tails. And yeah. So more information on the tropical and rainforest biome. Biodiversity, the Dominican Republic has 415 known species of amphibians, birds, mammals, and reptiles. It is also home to at least 5,656 species of vascular plants, and that's a good ratio, which means that there is enough plants and food for the animals and mammals and that. The biggest threats for this biome include illegal forestry operations, slash and burn agricultural practices, clearing forests for cattle grazing, agricultural expansion, urban expansion, and illegal hunting. The solution to this is the governments have protected areas, national parks, where people can't cut down trees or mess with the environment. Reforestation, so private owners, public owners, charities will plant trees to reforest what has been deforested. Institutional arrangements, so government bodies such as the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, and they are responsible for environmental issues of the Dominican Republic. Private owner laws, so private owners are required to conserve their forests if they have land that is the forest. And payment for ecosystem services, PES. So private owners of land must ensure forest is conserved. All properties must be registered in the public forest register to gain incentives created for forest conservation. And that is the pilot project for the payment for ecosystem services. So they must register, and then once they are registered, landowners can apply to government and obtain a certification that their land is ideal for forest growth, and then they will get funding for reforestation if they are eligible. And then the endangered species of the tropical rainforest biome include the Dominican Caribbean toad, as you see there, and the Pimenta haitiensis. Sorry, I do not know how to say this. And both of these are endemic to the Dominican Republic. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.